Hello, my name is Richard Pettifer. I'm from Berlin, Germany. I'm performing the show End of Species at the Yard Theatre in Hackney Wick next week. I wrote this letter to the Queen asking her to come. I'll read it to you now. Her Majesty the Queen, Buckingham Palace, London, SW1A1AA. Madam, I am writing to invite Your Majesty to my show about climate change called End of Species. On January 19th, 2013, I set off from our most successful old colony, Australia, in an attempt to travel without the use of highly pollutant aircraft back to the mother country. The times dictate that one must find alternative ways to travel, what with the populace seemingly unaware of their impending plight despite multiple and continued warnings from our most eminent scientists regarding the subject. It brings me no pleasure to report back to Your Majesty that my journey was unsuccessful. The reasons for this were many and varied, but include the penal colony's newfound disciplinary approach to immigration stifling my attempts to cross to Indonesia, an inability to harness the goodwill of sailors travelling some comparatively short distance from the former Siamese island of Phuket to the Andaman Islands, formerly of Your Majesty, and some of those subjects of Caboolture, Queensland, supposedly loyal to the Crown, mistaking me for a worthy subject of physical assault and burglary. I detail these events and others in dramatic length and submit my full report to Your Majesty in performance at the Yard Theatre on the 11th of March until and including the 15th of that month, each evening at 7:30 p.m. My report will also include a review of the journey aboard the HMS Beagle of that most eminent scientist of the 19th century and our most famous subject, Charles Darwin, so as to consider the question of whether we are, at present, in a position capable of acting collectively in order to prevent our own species' extinction. Should Your Majesty decide it within your duty to attend, I should warn you that Hackney Wick is currently one of the more fashionable areas of London, and so as to blend in, as it were. It would be fine if you wore any fingerless gloves, Dr. Dre headphones and other such paraphernalia, such as Your Majesty sees fit. I am available to give advice regarding this or to lend pieces from my private collection as Your Majesty deems appropriate, though I must admit to only a faltering understanding of the correct traditions myself. Perhaps the costume department of the theatre can be of some help. The show costs a speckled hen, as it can commonly be heard called by those residing in the inner east. However, I have a special allocation of tickets for invited guests, and such would be the privilege of having Your Majesty attend that I would gladly adorn you with one such ticket, should Your Majesty so wish it, and possibly one extra for a servant with a special interest in theatre. However, please do communicate this promptly if possible, as I have a veritable queue of uncouth Australian mates clamouring for a ticket, in a most ungainly and philistine manner, as they are wont to do. How they like to get into things for free, a dreadful habit lingering from their earlier exclusions. One final favour. I know that the Prince of Wales has of late admirably been campaigning against wildlife trafficking and species extinction in various charitable events. I wonder if Your Majesty would do me the honour of extending the invitation to him on my behalf, as I only really have time to write one single letter due to being so far behind in my work and owing to my commitment to service in the theatre forbidding the production of substandard quality. I wish Your Majesty continued good health and await with eager anticipation your speedy reply. I have the honour to be, Madam, Your Majesty's humble and most obedient servant. Yours sincerely, Richard Pettifer of Elsa Brandstromstrasse 45, 13189 Berlin. What do you think? Please come or the yard will kill me.